We released a video last week, or maybe a few days ago when you're watching this, about the huge issues with opioid drugs and how there's very limited research on them. The research that has been done shows that there's really no benefit of taking them, but there is a huge increased risk of harm. So what can you do instead? Well, today we're going to answer that. I'm Dr. Rodney White with Omaha Chiropractic, and thanks for joining us. So when we're talking about the huge issue with opioid drugs here, the main issue we're talking with comes with chronic pain. So when we have very intense pain because we've just herniated a disc or broken a bone or whatever is going on, there's times where we need to even go as strong as morphine just to get that pain under control. But where opioids become a problem is they become very addictive. And so someone who's suffering from chronic pain falls onto that train and can't get off it. So what else can we do? Well, number one, the first thing we're going to mention, if you have chronic pain, meaning pain that lasts for weeks, months, or even years, the first thing to do is go and get assessed and checked by a chiropractor, because it's well known from the scientific literature that chiropractic is very, very effective at helping people with low back pain, neck pain, headaches, and it works because chiropractic helps the brain know more accurately what's going on in and around the body. We're also seeing that the chiropractic adjustment has an effect on a part of the brain called the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex, if I can say that properly, is the part of the brain that dampens down a lot of the stress centers and the mood and emotional centers, and a lot of the aspects that are involved with chronic pain. So if we're not able to dampen that down, then we get a lot of this pain going up through the roof. But now there's also a lot of research showing that if you go to a chiropractor, you have far less likelihood of using pain drugs, short and long term. So I'm going to quote some numbers here from a study. In 2007, there was a study done where they looked at 70,000 member months, meaning of a health plan. So it doesn't mean 70,000 people. If you were one person they looked at over a 12-month period, there's 12 member months. But 70,000 of these months, and they found that going to a chiropractor resulted in 60% fewer hospital admissions, 59% less hospital days, 62% less outpatient surgeries, and the very big one, 85% less pharmaceutical costs, or decrease in pharmaceutical costs. So that's huge. Then another really big study done in 2016 where we've seen the preliminary results, but it's still got to be fully confirmed with everything just to make sure they haven't missed anything. They looked at 33,000 people with low back pain. Of that 33,000, about a third went to a chiropractor throughout, and the other 2/3 didn't. So they said, great, let's measure what's going on here. The roughly 10,000 people who went to a chiropractor versus the 20,000 who didn't. Of the people who went to a chiropractor, about 38% of people had one opioid prescription, and they had 3.9 refills of that prescription on average. The 2/3 who didn't go to a chiropractor, 61% had at least one opioid prescription and filled on average 8.3 prescriptions. So the likelihood of filling an opioid prescription is 57% lower if you go to a chiropractor. So this is all massive, but chiropractic alone is not the answer with chronic pain. We have to do a lot of other things too, because those of you who suffered from chronic pain know that it just goes on, and it eats into our life, and it completely changes our quality of life. So what else can we do? We have to get moving. Walking, performing simple spinal stretches, all of these things are going to help move the area of now chronic injury, but also get the brain changing. And in fact, they're even doing some studies where if you say, well, I'm in so much pain, I can't even lift my shoulder, or it hurts to walk, if you visualize doing a movement, your brain reacts in almost the exact same way as you do it. So if I move my arm like this, certain things in my brain are firing. If I visualize moving my arm like that, it's almost the exact same response. So you can actually trick your brain into not hurting anymore, because when you visualize doing that movement and it doesn't hurt, your brain actually makes changes. That is so amazing. Some other things we can do other than movement. Obviously, anything that changes our moods and emotions and our outlooks is going to help, because that stress we have really increases our well, decreases our brain's ability to deal with pain. So we've got to get outside, get around things that make you happy, whether it's nature and plants and flowers or people you enjoy. Find things to laugh at, get moving in water, all of these things that will help your brain deal with this. But number one, we have to stay active and mobile, and that has to involve not only our big muscles, but our spine. And we'll get back to that in a second. What else can we do? Watch what we eat. Movement and food are probably the two easiest things we can start to change that will have the greatest impact on the increase or decrease of inflammation we have in the body. And so why is spinal movement so important? Well, again, this is where all the information comes into the spine to go up to the brain to tell it what's going on in and around the body. If that's interrupted, we have issues. So yes, chiropractic, but not just that. Yoga, Pilates, all of those things will help. Then if you add that to all the cognitive behavioral therapy you're doing, changing the way you look at pain, and you're moving more and laughing more and doing things you enjoy, and you put all of this together, the far majority of people, probably very close to 98-99%, will be able to beat chronic pain. And it seems too good to be true, and it's simple, but it's not easy because it takes a lot of work to do all these things. But even one of those things, let alone the combination, is a far better option at targeting pain than using opioid drugs, as we discussed in our last episode. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much for your attention. If you've got any questions around chronic pain at all, whether you're suffering or you know someone who is, send us a message, leave a comment, whatever, just reach out to us and we'll see if we can answer those questions for you. So, and if you obviously, even if you don't live in Omaha, we can give you some advice, we can help you find a good chiropractor, all of those things. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time.